Don't you die on me, kid. Kayla's voice cracked as she pressed down on his chest, her soaked apron clinging to her skin. Rain slammed against the cracked asphalt behind the Harbolite diner, turning puddles into sheets of red and silver. The kitchen door light blinked erratically above her, its flicker glinting off the blood that pooled beneath her hands. Welcome back, family. How are you all doing? Here is another story to elevate your spirit. Let's continue supporting the channel. Like, subscribe, and share to your loved ones. The boy couldn't have been more than 19. His lips were pale, his shirt, once white, torn and dark with blood. Each time she pushed, a shallow gasp rattled from his throat, fragile as a secret. Come on, breathe, she muttered through chattering teeth. Stay with me, please. The alley smelled of salt, grease, and storm water. Wind tore through the dumpster lids, slamming them like gunshots. Somewhere beyond the alley, sirens wailed, but distant, too distant. Her phone lay face down in a puddle, screen cracked, battery dead. Help, she shouted into the empty street, her voice swallowed by thunder. Somebody please. No answer. She tried again, hands slipping, breath shaking, heart pounding so hard it hurt. Her shift had ended an hour ago. She should have been halfway home, maybe eating leftover pie with her little sister. Instead, she was kneeling in the rain, praying a stranger wouldn't die on her. Come on, she begged. Don't quit on me now. The boy's eyelids fluttered. For a heartbeat, she saw his eyes, gray, glazed, terrified. His lips moved, barely shaping a word. Noah. Then his chest went still. Kayla froze. Her trembling fingers hovered over his heart, waiting for movement, a sign, anything. But there was only the sound of the storm, the flicker of neon, and her own ragged breathing. Thunder rolled overhead as she sat back, her knees sinking into the flooded pavement. The diner lights sputtered once, twice, and went dark. She looked down at her blood-smeared hands, warm even in the cold rain, and knew, somehow, this moment would follow her forever. Clearwater, Florida smelled like salt and coffee, the two things that kept Kayla Rojas alive. By dawn, the storm had passed, leaving behind streets slick with seawater and a pale orange sky. The Harbolite diner buzzed with the hum of fryers, the hiss of bacon grease, and the low twang of a country song from the jukebox. Kayla moved between tables on autopilot, eyes heavy, her mind still in that alley. Every plate she carried felt heavier than it should. Tourists drifted in wearing sunburns and flip-flops, talking about beaches and boat rides. None of them noticed the tired woman with a frayed apron and cracked knuckles serving their breakfast. Her manager, Cliff, tossed her a tired smile. Rough night, huh? She forced a nod. Yeah, something like that. When her phone buzzed in her apron pocket, she slipped into the kitchen to answer. It was the urgent care clinic. Miss Rojas, just letting you know, that boy you brought in last night, he pulled through. Kayla's knees nearly gave out. He's okay. Seems so. But, he checked himself out early. No ID. No paperwork. Just gone. Gone. Like a ghost. She stood there for a long moment, staring at the grease-streaked wall as a drop of sweat, or maybe a tear, ran down her cheek. A few hours later, while she refilled coffee cups, the TV above the counter flashed breaking news. Billionaire tech heir missing. Last seen in Clearwater area. Kayla froze mid-pour. The photo on the screen, a smiling young man with gray eyes, looked achingly familiar. Her heart stuttered. The coffee overflowed the cup, hissing onto the burner. Outside, gulls circled the gulf, their cries sharp against the morning calm. Kayla stepped to the window, her reflection lost in the glass. If you'd been me, she whispered, voice trembling, would you have stopped? She didn't know it yet, but the whole world was about to answer that question for her. The Harbolite diner buzzed louder than usual that afternoon, not from the grill or the jukebox, but from the television above the counter. Still no sign of 19-year-old Noah Grayson, son of tech billionaire Anthony Grayson. He was last seen near Clearwater Beach. Forks Paws Madère. The regulars leaned closer, their reflections shimmering in the chrome napkin holders. Poor kid, someone muttered. Bet he's halfway to Cuba by now. Kayla's hand trembled as she wiped the counter. The image on the screen shifted. A photo of Noah smiling beside his father. Then a security still, grainy but unmistakable. The same jawline. The same gray eyes. Even through the distortion, she recognized the faint bruise near his temple. Her stomach turned to stone. She'd held that face in her hands. Blood. Rain. Don't you die on me, kid. Now the world was calling him the missing Billionaire. Her phone buzzed again, but this time it wasn't the clinic. Two detectives stood by the door. One tall, one wiry, both in sweat-stained shirts and weary eyes. Kayla Rojas? Her heart dropped. They asked about the night before, about a boy she might have helped. She answered carefully, voice steady, leaving out the details that might sound like guilt. But she saw the doubt in their faces. They thanked her and left, but the whispers didn't. By evening, #DinerGirl was trending. A photo of her taken from the parking lot, head down, apron on, plastered across gossip blogs. Cliff cornered her near the dish sink. You're good people, Kayla, but this kind of spotlight? It's bad for business. She nodded numbly. That night, she tucked Mariah into bed, whispering, It'll blow over, baby. I promise. But outside, the flashing lights down the street said otherwise. The Harborlight Diner buzzed louder than usual that afternoon. Not from the grill or the jukebox, but from the television above the counter. Still no sign of 19-year-old Noah Grayson, son of tech billionaire Anthony Grayson. He was last seen near Clearwater Beach. Forks Paws, Madeira. The regulars leaned closer, their reflections shimmering in the chrome napkin holders. Poor kid, someone muttered. Bet he's halfway to Cuba by now. Kayla's hand trembled as she wiped the counter. The image on the screen shifted. A photo of Noah smiling beside his father, then a security still, grainy but unmistakable. The same jawline. The same gray eyes. Even through the distortion, she recognized the faint bruise near his temple. Her stomach turned to stone. She'd held that face in her hands. Blood. Rain. Don't you die on me, kid. Now the world was calling him the missing Billionaire. Her phone buzzed again, but this time it wasn't the clinic. Two detectives stood by the door. One tall, one wiry, both in sweat-stained shirts and weary eyes. Kayla Rojas? Her heart dropped. They asked about the night before, about a boy she might have helped. She answered carefully, voice steady, leaving out the details that might sound like guilt. But she saw the doubt in their faces. They thanked her and left, but the whispers didn't. By evening, #DinerGirl was trending. A photo of her taken from the parking lot, head down, apron on, plastered across gossip blogs. Cliff cornered her near the dish sink. You're good people, Kayla, but this kind of spotlight? It's bad for business. She nodded numbly. That night, she tucked Mariah into bed, whispering, It'll blow over, baby. I promise. But outside, the flashing lights down the street said otherwise. By morning, the Harborlight Diner looked less like a workplace and more like a crime scene. Two news vans idled across the street, cameras trained on the chipped blue awning. A reporter in heels stood where Kayla once parked her car, shouting over the surf wind. Sources say the Clearwater waitress may have abducted Noah Grayson after finding him injured. Kayla froze behind the blinds of her apartment, her phone lighting up in bursts. Messages, mentions, threats, liar, gold digger. You'll pay for what you did to that boy. The internet had built its own story, and she was the villain. When she walked into work, Cliff didn't meet her eyes. Half the table sat empty. A family by the window whispered, then left without ordering. He took a deep breath, scratching his bald head. I'm sorry, Kayla. The reviews, the reporters, folks think you're bad news. I can't lose the place. Her apron hit the counter harder than she meant it to. That evening, Mariah did homework by candlelight after their power flickered again. The landlord's voicemail played in Kayla's ear, all polite tone and veiled threat. Rent's late again, Miss Rojas. I'll need it by Friday, or we'll have to talk options. Kayla stared at the dark window, her reflection barely visible behind the raindrops. She had nothing left. Not her job, not her peace, not even the small space she'd carved out of the world. Then came a knock. 3 quiet raps, almost hesitant. She opened the door, and froze. Noah stood there, pale, thinner, rain dripping from his hair. His voice was hoarse. "I had to find you," he said. "They lied about everything." Noah looked like a ghost made of rain and regret. Kayla pulled him inside, locking the door behind him. He sank onto the couch, shivering, his once white shirt streaked with rust-colored stains. She handed him a towel, her voice low. "They said you disappeared." I know," he cut in. "They're trying to bury what I found." He told her everything in pieces, the hidden accounts, the offshore money, the people who wanted him silent. He'd fled his father's mansion after confronting the wrong executive. Then someone put a bullet in him on the causeway. He didn't remember crawling to the diner alley. Only her voice, begging him not to die. Kayla stared, heart pounding. "You're saying your father's company." "Not my father," Noah said quietly. "The people who work for him. But he'll protect them before he protects me." He'd been hiding in a rundown motel off US 19, paying cash under a fake name. Every knock on the door made him flinch. Kayla reheated leftover mac and cheese, added 2 slices of the diner's day-old pie. They ate in silence, the hum of the refrigerator filling the space between their worlds, his of glass towers and private jets, hers of tips and overdue bills. She finally asked, "Why come here?" "Because you're the only one who didn't want anything from me," he said. Her hands trembled. Getting involved again could destroy her. But she couldn't turn him away. As rain tapped the window, her voice dropped to a whisper. "Maybe doing right doesn't save you. Maybe it just shows who you are when no one's watching." Outside, headlights slowed in the street. Watching. The first sign was the light, bright, white, and wrong. SUV headlights cut across Kayla's living room wall, slicing through the rain-streaked glass like a warning. The hum of engines followed, then the low thud of car doors closing in unison. Noah froze mid-bite, the color draining from his face. "They found me," he whispered. Kayla moved to the window, heart pounding. Down below, black-suited men fanned out across the parking lot, earpieces glinting under the streetlights. The kind of men who didn't knock, they entered. Then the biggest shadow of all stepped into the rain. Anthony Grayson. His tailored coat caught the downpour like it didn't dare touch him. Even from behind the glass, Kayla could feel the weight of his stare, cold, sharp, calculating. He looked like a man used to owning the air around him. A hard knock shook the door. When she opened it, Anthony stood framed by the storm, his jaw tight, his voice smooth but trembling with fury. "Miss Rojas," he said, "you've caused my family enough pain. Where's my son?" Kayla's throat closed. You took him," he cut in. "Don't deny it. We have footage. Witnesses. You think this is some payday?" "Stop." Noah's voice cracked through the room. He stumbled out of the hallway, pale and defiant. "She saved me, Dad. You hear me? She saved me." The billionaire turned, disbelief flickering, the kind that comes when control slips for the first time. Outside, a flash went off. Then another. Reporters had found them. Cameras reflected in the puddles. Microphones pressed to fog glass. The storm had come inside, and for the first time, everyone could see. By morning, Clearwater had turned her life into a headline. Waitress hero or hoax? Billionaire's son found. Questions swirl about woman who saved him. Kayla couldn't escape the noise. Every channel played her face, grainy footage from diner cameras, her drenched in rain and blood. Some called her brave. Others called her a fraud. Strangers on the internet decided who she was before she could open her mouth. Outside her window, reporters shouted her name, holding microphones like weapons. Inside, her phone buzzed nonstop. Interview requests, threats, apologies, and promises of exclusive deals. She ignored them all. Then came the call from the Grayson estate. Anthony Grayson was holding a press conference. To clarify misinformation, Kayla almost didn't go, but Noah had asked. The mansion shimmered under the noon sun, glass walls reflecting the bay like a mirror. Reporters lined the driveway, cameras ready. Inside, under chandeliers and a dozen news feeds, Anthony Grayson stood behind a podium, composed, powerful, untouchable. "My son's ordeal," he began, "was exploited by outsiders seeking attention. My family will handle this matter privately." Kayla felt her chest tighten. The room tilted. She wasn't supposed to speak, wasn't supposed to exist. Until Noah did. He stepped forward, voice steady, eyes on every lens in the room. "She's not the problem," he said. "She's the reason I'm alive." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Anthony froze. Cameras zoomed. Noah didn't stop. "She found me bleeding in an alley when everyone else turned away. The people who tried to kill me, they worked for my father's partners. She saved me from them. From you." The words landed like thunder. By evening, hashtags flooded every feed. Hashtag Kayla the hero. Hashtag Grace and Truth. And for the first time, the world believed her. The Grayson mansion looked different in daylight, quieter, colder. The kind of place where nothing out of place ever stayed that way for long. Kayla followed the butler past marble floors and walls that gleamed like mirrors. Every reflection reminded her she didn't belong here. A waitress in borrowed clothes, scuffed shoes clicking against stone that cost more than her rent. Anthony Grayson waited in his study, sunlight spilling over the bay behind him. A checkbook lay open on the desk, a silver pen resting neatly across the page. "Name your price," he said, without preamble. "You saved my son. Whatever you want, it's yours." Kayla's hands tightened around her purse strap. "That's not why I helped him." Anthony leaned back, studying her like she was an equation he couldn't solve. "Everyone wants something, Miss Rojas. Be honest." She looked out the window, at the ocean glittering beyond the glass, at a life she could never afford to touch. "You're right," she said softly. "I do want something, just not for me." He raised an eyebrow. "I want a youth center in Clearwater. A place for kids who don't get second chances. Somewhere safe, somewhere that might have kept Noah from that alley." Silence settled, heavy and clean. Anthony's expression softened. Not quite understanding, but something close to respect flickered in his eyes. Finally, he nodded once. "Consider it done." Kayla smiled, relief washing over her like sunlight after rain. "Then we're even." As she turned to leave, her voice carried quietly, almost a whisper meant for anyone still listening. "If you believe the world still needs people who stop for strangers, stay with me." 3 months later, Clearwater smelled like summer again. The ribbon fluttered in the Gulf breeze, bright against the new brick walls of the Rojas Community Center. Children's laughter filled the courtyard, sneakers squeaking on the basketball court, chalk dust rising from sidewalks scrawled with dreams. Kayla stood at the entrance, scissors trembling slightly in her hand. No diner apron today, just a soft blue blazer and a name badge that read director. Beside her, Mariah handed out flyers, her smile wide and proud. "Ready?" someone asked. Kayla nodded and cut the ribbon. Cheers rose, echoing off the nearby palm trees. Out on the court, Noah rebounded a loose basketball, his laughter quick and genuine. No bodyguards, no headlines, just a boy, older now, steadier, helping kids find their footing. Across the street, Anthony Grayson watched from beside his car. No entourage this time, just a father in sunglasses, quiet, humbled by the weight of everything money couldn't fix. When Kayla's eyes met his across the crowd, he gave a small, respectful nod. She returned it, a truce written in silence. A local reporter approached, microphone in hand. "Miss Rojas, how does it feel, knowing you saved the son of one of America's richest men?" Kayla smiled, looking past the camera toward the kids racing through the doors. "I didn't save a billionaire's son," she said. "I saved a boy who needed someone to stop." The reporter lowered the mic. The sea glimmered just beyond the center, sunlight skipping across the waves. The same gulf that once mirrored her darkest night. And for the first time, the world felt still. One choice, one act of compassion, and everything that followed. Redemption, hope, and the quiet power of doing what's right when no one's watching. Thank you for staying to the very end. Trust the story resonate with you because the next one will captivate you even more. Like, subscribe, and share to make it go viral. Thank you.